Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm coming at you today with a look using mostly all new makeup to me. Might not be new to everybody, but to me. I'm reviewing a couple of products and I just know that I have been doing a lot of pink looks lately, so I wanted to put a mustard color sweater on and get into the more fall vibes. I also included my perfume of the day because it is also new, so stay tuned for the end for that. And if you are interested to see how I did this look, let's get started. Go ahead and get started. I have my little wings sticking out. I'm not even going to try to clip them back, so we'll just deal with those. I am going to actually use a primer today. I received this primer foundation combo from Aucoin and Becca to review, and I'm going to be reviewing it over on Instagram, but I'll tell you my thoughts too. But this is the Becca Backlight Primer. This is not new to me. I've gone through a couple of these. I carry this in my kit. I've used it on myself many times. I really like this primer. It is a glowy golden champagne base, and I have been applying my primers lately with a brush. This is just a Morphe E4, and I just like to kind of fluff it, for lack of a better word, all over the face, because the foundation that we're going to be wearing, you and I, you're going to put it on the same time I do, is more matte. So I like to really make sure I have some kind of luminous base when I go in with a super matte foundation, because I am just not a super matte kind of girl. I like to have some kind of radiance to my skin. So you can see how pretty that is. I don't feel like it's too much. It's definitely not glittery. It doesn't have any shimmers. Me, in my opinion, it's just right. Let's put on some corrector. This is the Color Science 3-in-1. Nothing new here. I did try a new one on my Instagram. The last Get Ready With Me I did, because I post them every Wednesday. And it was the Eve Pearl Salmon one. And I just don't know if I like it. I just don't think my concealers sit as well over it as it does this one, the Jane Iredale one, and the Fit Glow one, which have always been my favorites. So the foundation is the Becca Ultimate Coverage 24-Hour Foundation. I chose the color Desert 2-in-2. It's a little light for me. I mean, it works out because I do feel like this oxidizes a little bit, but this is a ultimate coverage. It's a full coverage. I feel like it's a more matte foundation, although as I wear it, the primer does kind of come through and it looks more skin-like than it does a flat matte, but that's the color, and it's going to work out, especially since I think the bronzer that I'm going to use is like too dark. So it may be perfect. So I'm just going to dot this all over like I normally do. This is my It Cosmetics. I don't know what kind of brush. It came with the newest foundation of theirs. What is this? Airbrush Complexion Perfection number 15. So I'm just going to stipple it in. This does have a little bit of a smell to it. It's very faint, but it's somewhat reminiscent to me of that paint thinner smell that like the MAC foundations have. It's really good coverage. It blends in really nicely. I haven't tried it with a sponge, but my preferred method is a brush. So anytime I use a foundation and I like the way the brush applies it, I don't even mess with a sponge. I mess with it if I don't like how it looks with the brush, but this looks perfectly fine with the brush. So I'm not going to mess with it. Now, if you wanted a more sheer coverage, you could definitely go in with a sponge. So the color's not too bad. It's just a tad light. It's definitely going to work for me in the winter. But see, that's no foundation. That's foundation. So it is looking a little bit cakey in between my brows, which if I'm ever going to have a dry spot for any reason, that's where it typically is. And a little cakey on my nose. I'm just not, used to super, super, super full coverage foundations like this. I don't think it's bad, but I am going to take some of this Jane Iredale Smell the Roses Hydration Spray. Spray some of that on and then take my sponge and kind of press it in. So if you ever have a foundation that's looking kind of dry or maybe just a little flat on your skin, this is a great technique to do. Now for concealer, this is not new to me. It's a new color And I purchased it when I purchased the Soft Matte Complete Foundation from NARS. So this is the Soft Matte Complete Concealer. And I know a lot of people who got PR packages are saying this is new. This is definitely not new. Sorry, I've got a hair like on my nose. It's definitely not new, but they have added some colors, I believe. So if you could not find your color within this range, definitely check back if you liked the formula of this. I got the color Light 3 Honey. So it has a little bit of a peach undertone. And if you notice, I'm scraping it out with a spatula. And that is because when I am using this specific concealer, but also other cream concealers that might be a little bit more matte, I like to put it onto my hand, and then I like to take the sponge into the product on my hand and then apply it under my eye. I find that that keeps me from using way too much product, and it just provides the best application. So you can see how much more coverage that had right there, right off the bat. Now, if I went like straight into a brush and applied it from the, the little pot onto my under eye, I would likely use too much product. So this has a nice peachy undertone, which again is going to help further cover darkness, which is something I always struggle with. I have two newer highlighters. One is a cream, one is a powder. So I'm going to use the cream first, and then if I feel like I need more or want more at the end of the application, then I'll apply it. This is, again, not new, but it's new to me. The Jane Iredale In Touch Highlighter in Complete. So this is a cream highlight. Swatch it for you right here. Really pretty, soft, subtle, which is, I mean, really, I think when you get a cream highlight, that's probably what you're looking for. So I'm just going to tap that onto the high points of my cheeks. Isn't that pretty? I think that's a really pretty highlighter. They have, I know at least one other color, if not more, if you think this might be too light for your skin tone. That's really pretty. I mean, it's not the first time I've used it, but I'm just letting you know. It's really pretty. And it's super tiny and compact, which is great for travel. Okay, that's all the creams that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to go into eyes. And this was also sent to me by Aucoin and Pat McGrath. This is the Mothership Rose Decadence palette. So I believe this is her newest 6-pan palette. And it is, when you first look at it, you think, oh, it's all cool tones, but it's really not. These two right here are more like neutral, leaning warm. And then you've got that really pretty gold color, which is also leaning warm. Now, I have done a lot of pink looks lately, and pink certainly will not go with this top. So I'm going to play with the gold and these two middle colors right here. They do have names, but it comes on this little set. There are two main things that I wish Pat McGrath would change, and it would be an absolute perfect palette for me. I wish she would include more mattes. For instance, this only has 2. Even if it was like half and half, that would be fabulous. Her big pan palettes don't have but like 3 or 4 mattes. I wish she had more mattes because I love her matte formula, and I wish they would write the names on the palette. That is like my only cons that I have about these palettes, because I don't like messing with these. And after this, I'm probably going to throw it away. But I wanted to keep it for the sake of names. So we're going to go into Peach Dusk, which is this matte color right here. And we're going to put that in a crease. You're not going to get a super, I mean, I know I say this every single time. You're not going to get a complicated eye look today. Now, this is very peach in the pan. However, it does come off on my eye as more peachy pink. That's okay. I still think it's going to look fine. There is a little bit of a discrepancy on my skin, at least, between the pan color and how it applies to the eye. I have used this with the purples, and they are just what you would expect from a Pat McGrath palette. Now, if you don't have Pat McGrath palettes, I can tell you that there's just something about the shimmer metallics in her palettes. They are so pigmented. I do find they work better with your finger than a brush. I find that to be the case for many shimmer colors, no matter the brand. But when I'm just using a clean brush, kind of buff out these lines. When I wear Pat McGrath shadows, I always get compliments on them. like my look, my eyeshadow in general. Okay, now I'm gonna go into the color right underneath, which is called Scandalous, right here. And I'm going to start with a brush. Haven't used this color yet, but I think I'm gonna end up going in with my finger. This is typically what I do. I lay down like some kind of base shade with a brush, or base layer, I guess, and then I will go in with my finger. And you'll see how much more pigmented it goes on with the finger. Now, don't think this is a standalone palette. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna do like this color in the crease and that color on the lid, which I often do, yes, it's a standalone. But if you're someone who likes to do inner corner highlights and, you know, a couple transition shades and stuff like that, it's not going to be. I don't really expect her 6 pans to be, but if you like rosy gold shades, this is gorgeous. Now, I don't have the Divine Rose, which is the big, I think, the like mama to this. So I can't say if you need both, but if you don't want to drop the money on the Divine Rose, this is still expensive, but more affordable. Now I'm gonna go in with my pinky finger in this gold color, Golden Honey. So right here, and I'm going to put that in the center of the lid. Overall though, I do really enjoy this palette. I say that about all of my Pat McGrath palettes, and I mean it. Let's go ahead and set my under eyes. I typically don't do this on camera, but I have this little new product from Kaja, and it is the Joystick Under Eye Setting Powder, and this is in color Power Up Pink. Now, yes, it is very cute packaging. Yes, it is very annoying. Like, I really enjoy the product within this, but the packaging is just a little too gimmicky for me. So if you see, it has like a little almost bobblehead top to the brush. So what it does, you can push this down, and then it picks up the product from the very bottom of the pan and puts it on this brush. Cute concept, again, a little gimmicky. The problem is the brush is pretty stiff, it's pretty dense, and it's not what I typically like to set my under eyes with for fear of moving the powder around. I'm going to show you on this eye. Just going to tap it in. I said moving the powder around, but moving the concealer around underneath it. I mean, this works. It's just kind of annoying. And to get a brush down in here, like the Wayne Goss #2 brush, which is what I usually use, it is not next to impossible. I tried it yesterday. So I've been using it with both. This does not look pink at all, in my opinion, either in the pan or under the eye. So I'm not quite sure why they call it Power Up Pink. But I do like the powder itself. I just can't stand the packaging. But it was Kaja, it was only, I think it was $18. This is not new. I don't have a new powder. So I just picked out one of the newest ones, and I'm pretty sure I've used this on camera. But this is the Chantecaille Perfect Blur Finishing Powder, maybe. It's the Hummingbird version. I don't even know if this is still available. And I know it says finishing powder, but I've been using it as kind of like a setting powder, and it really does blur. I like to use it, it's not mattifying, so I like to use it with more, you know, matte foundations. And this is the Chantecaille Buff and Blur brush. I'm stippling it in. This is definitely not a brush you can just like swipe stuff on, because it's way too dense for that. So I'm just kind of pressing it into the skin, and I do really enjoy this. Again, I don't think you can still get it on the website. However, you may get lucky and find, you know, some of your local retailers still have some in stock. So you might call around some of your department store counters that may carry Chantecaille. For bronzer, I'm going to use this new one I got from Inglot. This is their Freedom System Always the Sun Matte Face Bronzer. No idea what color this is. Maybe Always the Sun is the color. So this is it right here. Very hard. I got this because I was buying some stuff for my kit on Nigel's, and I was just looking at like new arrivals, and they suck me in. And I saw this, and it was very hard to determine the color online. In fact, they all look the same. I went to the Inglot website to see if I could determine any better, and they truly all look the same. They do have matte, and they also have like a shimmer color. So this, I have not, y'all, this may be a hot mess. I'm gonna put it right here too. This is the Refer number 4 brush. It picks up a lot of powder, like when you put your brush in the pan, but I think it's gonna end up being an okay color. It's not as scary on the skin as it is in the pan, or even on the brush for that matter. The more I look around my mouth and on my smile lines, I'm not biggest fan of the foundation. It's just not laying very pretty on my skin. Oily skin, you will like this a lot better. Okay, so that was the Inglot bronzer. We're gonna buff it out too because I think it looks a little harsh in some of these areas. I don't think I'm gonna put any more highlight on. So let's go into blush, which I'm gonna use the new fall collection blush from Jane Iredale. And this is in the color Cherry Blossom. So pretty. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it. And I just thought it would look really pretty with this look. So pigmented as all Jane blushes are. So pretty as all Jane blushes are. The face definitely needs to be buffed out. So I'm going to use my Radiant Light by Hourglass and a discontinued It Cosmetics brush. I'm sorry for anybody who watches all my videos and hears me say that every time. But inevitably, I always get questions about this brush, so I'm probably going to say it every time. Any duo fiber brush will do. Let's go back into the palette and take a little bit of that peachy pink matte color that we used. See, and now we're going to take this stinking, that's what I'm talking about, that little plastic thing that we used in the crease and put this underneath the eye. That powder highlight that I was going to use, I'll use it as a inner corner highlight. This is Cookie from Benefit. They were part of the 21 Days of Beauty. And so I never tried this, and I know a lot of people like it, but I also know it's a very intense highlight. So let's use it as an inner corner highlight. All right, let's put on some lips. I used for mascara the new, to me, Kevyn Volume Mascara. I used this in my Kevyn Festive Fun Look last week, if you want to see me actually applying it. And now I'm going to use the brand new little bitty, love these so much, Jane Iredale lip stains. This is in color Craving. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on my hand because I do use these in my kit too because they last all day. They're so long lasting. But this is like a brownie nude, kind of salmon color. They go on feeling like a gloss, but then they dry down, but they don't dry down to like make your lips feel dry and, you know, uncomfortable, and they don't leave that like ring around your mouth. It's truly a lip stain. It's not like a liquid lipstick to me. But because, you know, shall we say it, I'm a gloss girl. I am gonna put the new Suntegrity gloss that I talked about in my favorites video. This is in the color Creamsicle, which I think is perfect for this eye look, over it. Which to me is like the perfect nude lip. Now I'm going to finish this by talking about a brand new perfume and put it on with y'all. This is the Chantecaille Frangipane or Frangipani perfume. So I watched, as I'm sure some of y'all did, the live that Abby did with Angela Rogers, who is a Chantecaille rep, and they talked all about their fragrances. And I'm gonna be 100% honest, before they had that, I didn't even know Chantecaille had fragrances. I had no clue, even though it is a distinct category on their website. I had no clue. I bought 2 of them. I bought this one and Vetiver because I have always said I like to either smell like cake or a man. And this is the more cakey kind of gourmand sweet scent, and the Vetiver is definitely more masculine. So I'm gonna use this today, and I used it yesterday for the first time, and it lasted so long on my skin. I smelled it for hours to come. It dries down to like a real pretty caramel scent on my skin. And I absolutely love it. And I'm looking at the notes, and it says it has sweet exotic orange, violet leaves, water hyacinth, and muguet. Sounds like nougat. Muguet for freshness. Jasmine, lang lang, which when I saw lang lang, I was like, sold. I love lang lang. And a generous amount of vanilla with a touch of more musk for warmth. And I totally agree with that, because I think when you add vanilla with musky, warm scents, it does start to smell like a caramel, and that's what I smell the most on my skin. So I had to talk about that because I love it, and look at how gorgeous it is. I told Chad, I'm like, I want you to build me some shelves in my new room for just fragrances so I can display these and some of my other bottles that I love, because this is just gorgeous. Lots of product in here too, 2.5 fluid ounces. Okay, that is the finished look. Hopefully you enjoyed. As always, everything will be listed down in the description box below. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. I hope you're all staying healthy, safe, and sane, and most of all, that you go out and have a very blessed day.